Thank you, Linda, for that introduction. But this is not the slide I updated, so I will still work with this. I have nothing to disclose rather than to say, hi everyone. It's such a great honor to be on the stage today to talk about my journey with Parkinson's and how I've lived well with the disease. My name is Chinyere Rachel Abu. I am a Nigerian and I live in Nigeria. I work as an operations coordinator for Parkinson's Africa, a UK registered charity dedicated to supporting and empowering Africans whose life has been impacted by Parkinson's disease. I am a person with Parkinson's. I was diagnosed with young onset Parkinson's in January 2020 at the age of 32. Before I start though, I would like to thank Eli and the entire WPC team for putting together such a remarkable event and the sponsors who made it possible. And I would also like to acknowledge the entire Parkinson's Africa team who supported me and made it possible for me to make my journey to Barcelona. My journey with Parkinson's disease started in 2011 as a final year student in the university. I was preparing to write my final year exams when I noticed some tremor on my left arm. I didn't really see it as anything, so I didn't really pay any attention to it. I was so excited graduating from the university that I didn't even have time to start thinking about tremors, but little did I know that my entire existence was about to change. Gradually, other symptoms began to unfold. I started to notice that I was always fatigued. I was having difficulty standing for a long period of time. I had started to shuffle when I walk, dragging my left leg to keep up with the right. Doing my daily chores had started to seem like a struggle and a great burden. One of the symptoms I started to notice at that time that scared me the most was the fear of falling, of which I fell a few times. I tried as much as I could to hide so that people couldn't see what was happening to me. While in hiding, I wished those symptoms could go away, but they did not. My first call wasn't to go to the hospital. I just wanted to hide. I felt I would be blamed for being shaky and all. I always had this thought in my head that having developed these symptoms was my fault. It was because of what I did or what I didn't do. As time passed, I couldn't hide the symptoms anymore. People had started to notice that my hands and legs were shaking and that I was always dragging my feet. I couldn't even handle basic chores because I was always tired, and even if I tried to force it, my whole body starts to shake, which was embarrassing. So I went to the hospital and I was told I was suffering from depression. And the doctor prescribed antidepressants for me. And the antidepressants didn't do me any good. Of course, I was misdiagnosed and I had to deal with the symptoms I was already facing and the added side effects of taking antidepressants. As my symptoms worsened, it was now obvious that everyone could see that I wasn't feeling well. I couldn't get out of the house or go anywhere where people are gathered together. People had started talking that she's bewitched. The shame I felt during this period of my life was unimaginable. The guilt I carried, the apathy, the anxiety I felt daily, and the constant feeling in my head that I'm inadequate were the most difficult and debilitating for me. It took well over 8 years to get a proper diagnosis. And during this period of my life, I went through hell. I was taken to native doctors, spiritual homes, herbalists, diviners, and they gave me all sorts of concoctions and performed all sorts of rituals in the bids of trying to cure me. Those 8 years plus of my life were the most difficult years of my entire life. When I finally got the diagnosis, I was so happy and relieved. At least knowing that what I had was a medical condition and not that I wasn't cursed or I wasn't a witch. gave me a purpose to live. Prior to my diagnosis, I actually wished I could die and end this suffering. It was that bad that when I heard that somebody has passed in the neighborhood, I would be like, why would this person die? Why is it not me? It was that bad. Getting a Parkinson's diagnosis gave me a will to live. I made a decision after my diagnosis that I was going to live my best life ever, and I'm living it. I didn't sit around to ask, why me? What I did was to shift my perspective and to see life in a different light. I worked on my mindset, I worked on my thoughts. I started to live a more mindful and intentional life. This is how I thrive with the disease. I'm always grateful that I am alive and for the little things I'm able to do each day, even if it's just getting up from the bed. I try not to worry about what tomorrow or my future with Parkinson's will be, knowing fully well it is a progressive disease. I live each day as they come, one day at a time. I focus on what is working in my life and not on what is not. And I'm grateful for it. I also find listening to music very therapeutic, which helps me when the apathy sets in. Another thing I really love to do is to dance. Whenever I get by myself and dance, I come alive as if Parkinson's never existed in my body. We cannot let Parkinson's disease win. I saw a lot of hands lifted when they asked how many of us have Parkinson's. We cannot let it win. It might have taken over our bodies, but we must not let it take over our minds and our soul. We must strive amidst the challenges and the difficulties we face on a daily basis. Parkinson's disease tries as much as it can to do a takedown on me, but I can tell you for a fact that I've won countless times. I've found love and gotten married post-diagnosis. I've had my little baby post-diagnosis. All of which I thought was not possible with Parkinson's. I've had a lot of wins with Parkinson's disease. My story wouldn't be complete without mentioning Parkinson's Africa and the founder, Motola Thomas. I am eternally grateful to her for leading the way for Africans impacted by Parkinson's disease. She shared her story when the first instinct for people like me was to hide. She's actually the strongest person I know. As an African who has been impacted by this disease, the stigma we face in our continent will force someone with Parkinson's disease to want to hide, but she didn't let that deter her. By sharing her story, I'm able to stand here today and share mine. I'm able to say, okay, she did this, I can move on with my life. My aspiration is that more people who live with Parkinson's disease in Africa, especially those living with young onset Parkinson's disease, are able to speak up about their disease and are supported and empowered to develop the level of knowledge, skills, and confidence to take actions to improve their own health. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's kind of hard to sit up here. I kind of get teary and I don't want to cry in front of everybody, but thank you, because I think it's okay to have a little tear once in a while. So, our last